Without inscriptions, interpretations about symbolism can be as numerous as the interpreters. When looking at triad symbolism, the most common interpretations I come across are that of the sun, the moon, and the pole star. However, the star is often depicted with points that are reserved for the sun, making it a microcosmic sun. Some traditions, or claims by those who purport to be a member of those traditions, utilize a spiritual sun in the center of hexagram or heptagram. Lockyer suspected triad symbolism indicated heliacally rising stars at key times of the year, Don Astor. Page 222, which would account for the variety of triads in mythology. However, in this instance, the enthroned ammonius Ra may indicate the reckoning of the year at the beginning of summer, when the days are longer, followed by the zodiacal signs of the lion and the queen of heaven, the virgin, represented by Mut, the goddess body and lion head, trailed by the Harpocratic Khonsu, which may indicate the sun during winter, when the days are shorter. As a reminder, Harpocrates is a god of silence. He's allegedly indicative of the newborn sun at daybreak, or the child Horus, but the newborn sun in the microcosm is the sun being reborn after the winter solstice. I couldn't find anything regarding the lesser triad at Thebes or at Hermonthis, but the following is another look at the Theban triad. I've studied the hieroglyphics to a degree, but abandoned those studies because something is amiss about them, from their dating to interpretation, subjects that I've detailed in the Spirit World series. The more I learned about them and the circumstances in which they were discovered and translated, the less confident I've become about their authenticity. As such, I am currently illiterate when it comes to the hieroglyphs, and I won't invest my energy into Egyptian studies because I don't think they're as old as claimed. Thus, everything I say about them should be taken as anecdotal and interpretive, not as factual. Next is an alleged triad of Memphis. The following is Nut, who goes by the epithet Queen of Heaven, with symbolism that appears to signify the sun, moon, and the Milky Way, as well as the face of Hathor in the middle of an Ache, representing the sun at the horizon, rising between two mountains. Unlike Harpocrates and child Horus, she has both locks of hair. Here is another variant in a different part of the temple. In addition to the triad at Dendera mentioned by Lockyer, there is also Thoth, Isis, and Khnum, which looks like a triad. The Temple of Hathor is one of the best preserved, but it looks too pristine to be ancient. I'm not an authority, this is just my opinion. Also, the winged sun disk, which normally has a serpent affixed to it, similar to the uraeus, if not a uraeus, does not appear to have a serpent. That serpent, sun, and wings constitute an emblem of the Egyptian triad. There is no serpent on the sun in this example, unless it is so small that I can't see it. For reference, the following is at the same location. Notice the uraei, cobras, on the sun. It's also important to know that these temples were exposed to the elements, and were claimed to be defaced by Christian iconoclasm. I'm not sure who the figure being anointed is, but Thoth and Ra are on each side of him, pouring what looks to be 12 ankhs, symbolic of life, each, making 24, likely the hours of day and night. The figure has the uraeus emerging from his forehead, an alleged symbol of sovereignty, but I'd wager it's a symbol of becoming initiated into the mysteries, as Thoth symbolizes the logos, and the knowledge of writing and letters, while Ra and the falcon/hawk signifies the soul and spirit, which would make the initiate being anointed with the knowledge and spirit of God, specifically the knowledge of time, Chronos. I recommend clicking the links to this source and looking at all of the photos because they are amazing. There is a great photo of what the charlatans in these spaces call the Egyptian light bulb, to imply the Egyptians had advanced technology that wasn't invented yet, but those who aren't degenerate can clearly see it as a serpent emerging from the lotus, or lily, and those of you who've gone through my Substack as paid members know what each of those signify. The following is another example of the lotus and serpent, both emblems of illumination in regards to knowledge, not electricity. While they are symbols of the wisdom of the cycles regarding the cosmos, time, and the sun's journey through them, there is no evidence that they are symbols of ancient light bulbs. Don't get it twisted. Just because I concede that I am illiterate in the hieroglyphics, it does not mean that I haven't studied the system. The following archetype of man with a frog head and the tail of a cynocephaly ape, or baboon tail, holding what looks like masonry tools may signify the uninitiated laborer that the idol initiated ruled over. Some may claim it is Kek, but I'd need to see the inscription translated to accept that. I wrote in July's end with black swans. Some scholars claimed that the frog was a symbol for primary matter, which pertains to water or being damp and without form, chaos, and the unformed man. Many traditions allegorize the gods and men descending from water. It's related to converting oneself to science, wisdom, and knowledge. The frog may emerge from the darkness of the swamp into light, or it may descend into the darkness of the swamp. However, as far as the symbolism is concerned, the frog needs the swamp. Frogs are profane, destroying wisdom with their unclean spirits and false beliefs from misinterpretation of sacred knowledge. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Revelation 16 verse 13. Return to this quote from Exodus 8 verses 2 to 7 after you read about Aaron and contemplate if there is an astronomical occurrence being described. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs, and the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house. And the frogs shall come up both on thee, and upon thy people, and upon all thy servants. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up, and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt. He sendeth among them the beetle, and it consumeth them, and the frog, and it destroyeth them. Psalm 78. The beetle consumes, and the frog destroys. The scarab is the sun, and the frog is darkness. The frog cannot walk upright. It is the neophyte, not spiritually formed. The profane are unclean, but they have the power to change. Will those using the symbolism of the frog convert into upright initiates, or will they return to the swamp? If the swamp is drained, the frogs will die. Are you ready to live without your swamp? The following looks like actual Kek archetypes, accompanied by Anubis archetypes. And another of Kek at the same location. Much of this appears to be consistent with carvings from around the centuries leading up to the Reckoning Common Era, and is reminiscent of what is seen at Carthage. Take a peek at the palm in the bottom right corners. It's almost identical to that of the ones depicted on stelae of Tanit. For reference, see the stele of Tanit with the palm, which became the Hamsa once the eye was added to it. To bring yourself up to speed on the universal system and the empires responsible for transmitting it, as well as to rectify the chronological record that historians have so thoroughly botched, go through the Spirit World series and the real universal empire. See you on the other side. Become a member to access the rest of this article.